Hey, welcome to the live. We have a different format tonight. Thank you and bear with me. We will not be long. Do you love and have nothing but love for your sweetheart, but just can't stand them? Like, just moments of being so disappointed and so frustrated with them that you just like, ugh, just want to shake somebody by the shoulders. Um, I laugh about this mostly to um, keep myself from crying because too many people are struggling with hatred in their marriages. And at any given time, even myself, even with the self-awareness about hatred, about resentment, about unforgiveness, about bitterness, at any given time we can get tripped up in and falling into a place of resentment and finding ourselves wanting to distance ourselves from the other person who we see as the source of our pain. Many people fall into hatred, and one of the first things that changes becomes the behavior in the bedroom. And so I'm just inviting an honest conversation about hatred tonight and wanting to share a story with y'all. Hey, welcome in, Auntie. Welcome in, Brother Walt. We're going to have a different format for this show, and I will be breaking in about 7 minutes for us to go into a more private setting with this conversation. But I want to tell a story about a husband who should have hated his bride. There was a king who he searched throughout the whole world for the one whom he would place his love and his affection upon. And he took his bride to be out of a really, really bad situation. He cleaned her up. He took her out of a situation where she was working very hard with very little rest. And one of the first things he did, he gave her rest from all of her work. And he provided for her to let her know that she didn't have to take care of herself anymore the way that she used to. Over the course of time and this courtship of sorts, he began to teach her about his deep and enduring love for her. And he offered her some vows to always take care of her, always to protect her, always to bless her, as long as she remained faithful to their covenant. And then over time, she began to attract the favor of other kings. Other kings began to notice how beautiful she was. Other kings began to woo her and lure her to have curiosity about what they could offer her that her king uh, had forbidden her from doing in order to protect her. And over the course of time, she began flirting with other kings and eventually began to have adulterous relations with other kings. And she had become so selfish in her pursuit of glory in the all of the praise that she received about her beauty that she had completely turned her back on her king. And this happened several times during the relationship. And the king would get really, really angry with his bride. And during these episodes of his anger and his faithfulness to his bride, the bride would feel bad and she would apologize and she would come back into covenant. She would do the right thing. And then for a season, she would find herself getting distracted again. She would find herself getting tripped up, getting caught up on her own beauty and falling over and over and over again into adulterous relationships until finally the king said, "You know what? You've been embarrassing me. You are making me look bad. In my faithfulness to you As a king of my integrity, I I have to keep the part of our vows where I promised you that I was going to put you out if you were to continue in this type of adultery. And because of the way that the kingdom was set up, the way that the laws were structured, the putting out of his bride created a type of separation that kind of created a legal tension for the king and how to reconcile with his bride, how to be with her as husband again, and her to be with him as his bride again. And so, what he did, he arranged for himself to legally remarry her after she had defiled herself with so many lovers, countless lovers. And in doing so, the legal requirement in order for their remarriage was for him to actually give up his life and sacrifice himself to satisfy the legal requirement. And Brother Red, I appreciate the comment because I'm talking about the Most High. I'm talking about the King. I'm talking about his relationship with his bride. I'm talking about the reason why he had to come and he had to make himself the sacrifice for this marriage to happen again, for this bride to be purchased back into his arms. And through it all, we see a king who went through heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak, but his love for his bride was so enduring. Had he been human, had he been limited, right, by the sinful ways that we all have, our selfishness, he would have hated his bride for what she did. But he never did. He never hated her. He loved her so much, he figured out a way to die and legally remarry her after she had bound herself to other husbands. And so tonight I want to talk in an intimate way about a very difficult subject. I know for a lot of people, there's a lot of shame and guilt around the idea like, oh my gosh, I don't hate my husband. I don't hate my wife. Yeah, you do. Like, resentment, I often refer to as it is a very stealthy form of hatred. It is a place where you are looking at this other person like, I wish I knew what I know now before I ever got married to you. And so, shalom, ready for a new life. Shalom, Sister Patea. Uh, Resentment is a hidden hatred. And most of the people who come into the world of Law for Love have been in resentment and bitterness, go in and out of resentment and bitterness. And the reason why is that life hurts and people hurt us. And why can't we just live happily ever after? Like, why can't we just have the wedding and all of the little empty cans on the back of the car and ride off into the sunset and we'll never have to fight? That is why people become resentful. We want to avoid having our differences. We want to avoid having different opinions. And so I'm inviting you tonight to take a deep dive with me at the Law for Love living room because we're going to end this live stream. If you would look into the description box. Oh, actually, what I can do, I can drop the link, can I? Y'all know I'm extra special, crispy. Law for Love living room is where we are going to talk to each other. We are going to be able to have a two-way conversation. I need to be able to hear you, to feel you, to give you feedback, and unfortunately I just can't do that from the live chats. I'm not built for it, and so I'm just going to go ahead and just let that. Hold on. Why is YouTube turning my link into a paragraph? So I'm dropping into the chats the link to the Law for Love living room. So we could talk about some stuff. So we could get real. So we can unpack some stuff. So we can peel back some layers. So we can have one of those sister Char conversations that most of y'all know how we talk. When we speak in more intimate and less broadcast spaces. And so my invitation to you is to click on the link, register for access. That way you're also going to get the reminders and notifications when we're having living room time. And I also have some other goodies in there for you when you register to access the living room. So I'm going to hang on here just in case y'all run into any kind of technicals, why you can't make it in. And then I'm going to sign off here so that I can host a more intimate setting in the Law for Love living room. So it looks like one of you is in the waiting room. Yeah, resentment is a strong word. All right, y'all. So I'm going to hop on over to the other meeting off of YouTube and hope to continue this conversation offline. Love you all.